I never imagined my marriage would end in silence. Not in shouting, not in tears, not even in broken promises. Just silence. A silence so heavy that it pressed on my chest like a weight I couldn't lift. I was standing in the kitchen that morning, watching steam rise from a pot of oatmeal, his favorite. The morning light poured softly through the curtains, and for a moment, everything looked normal. Peaceful, ordinary. And yet my hands were shaking, because that morning, I had already seen the messages. I had already seen her name. I had already heard the voice messages she sent him. Soft, sweet, laughing. The kind of laugh he once said I had. I swallowed hard. I didn't cry, not yet. Something inside me was too numb to break. My name is Lily. I am 52 years old. I married Michael when I was 25. We built a home together. One filled with soft blankets, framed photos, warm dinners, and long conversations at the end of each day. We raised our son Daniel in this house. He is grown now, 28, lives in another state and calls me every Sunday without fail. He's always been thoughtful like that, soft-spoken, gentle. Michael and I were once like that too. He used to bring home flowers from the grocery store just to make me smile. He used to trace small circles on my back while we watched movies. He used to say things like, "Grow old with me, Lil. Nothing scares me as long as you're beside me." But marriages don't end with explosions. They end slowly, quietly, like leaves falling one by one. He stopped holding my hand. He started working late. He kept his phone face down. Still, I trusted him. Because when you've given someone your whole life, trusting them becomes a habit, a reflex, something your heart does even when your mind already knows better. 2 days ago, his phone buzzed while he was in the shower. He never left his phone unattended. Never. The name was Anna. I didn't recognize it, but my body reacted before my mind could form a thought. My fingers picked up the phone. My thumb unlocked it. He never changed his passcode. Why would he? He thought I would never doubt. The messages were long, flirty, excited, intimate. She wrote, "I can't wait to see you again tonight. I love how you hold me." She has no idea. I was she. My heart didn't break. It just froze. I scrolled further. Voice messages, pictures. And the last message, sent only an hour ago. "Soon we won't need to hide anymore." I remember staring at the wall across the room. It felt like the world had gone quiet, like someone paused time. I didn't scream. I didn't delete anything. I didn't call him. I just placed the phone back exactly where it was, wiped away my fingerprints, and walked slowly to the kitchen. I cooked breakfast. Like always, because sometimes the calm before a storm isn't peace, it's power. When Michael came down the stairs, clean-shaven, smelling like pine soap, wearing the button-down I ironed the night before, he kissed my cheek. A soft, distracted kiss, a habitual kiss. He didn't see the emptiness in my eyes. "Morning," he said. I smiled back. "Breakfast is ready," I replied. My voice was steady. Inside, everything was trembling. He sat, ate, scrolled his phone, laughed at something he read. He didn't notice I didn't eat. After he left for work, I sat at the table for almost an hour without moving. Just breathing, just existing. I wasn't thinking about revenge, oranger, or confrontation. I was thinking about time. 27 years of marriage, 27 years of loyalty, 27 years of believing I was loved the same way I loved. Was I foolish or was he simply coward? That afternoon, I drove to the edge of town, to the small cafe where I meet my longtime friend Grace every Thursday. Grace is 56 strong, honest, the kind of woman who looks straight into your soul. As soon as she saw my face, she knew. She didn't ask if I was okay. She simply said, "Tell me." So I did. Everything, every word, every message, every detail. Grace listened, silent, serious. And when I finished, she took my hands in hers and said, "Do not break yourself to protect his sins." I felt something shift inside me, like standing up straight after being hunched for too long. Maybe for the first time in years, I saw myself, not a wife, not a caretaker, not someone waiting for affection, but a woman who deserved better. I didn't scream when he came home that night. I didn't confront him. I didn't ask questions. Instead, I watched him move around the house like a stranger wearing the face of the man I once loved. He didn't even notice I was watching. That hurt more than anything. Later, when he slept, his phone lit up again. "Good night, my love." He smiled in his sleep. My chest tightened, but I didn't cry. Because crying is a reaction to shock. I was past shock. I had entered something colder, quieter, sharper. I had entered clarity. The next morning I made a decision. Not revenge, not confrontation. Not chaos, truth. Truth is the only thing that destroys lies without you having to raise your voice. I called someone Michael would never expect. Someone who already knew him. Someone who had seen the signs before I did. Someone who had been waiting for me to wake up. The phone rang twice. They answered. I said only one sentence. I know everything. There was a long, heavy silence on the line, and then a voice replied, slow, steady, and filled with something unbreakable. I'll be there in the morning. A storm is coming, not of rage, but of truth, and Michael has no ID. The morning came quietly. The sun had barely started to rise, spreading a pale gold hue across the sky. The house felt still, as if it was holding its breath along with me. I stood in the kitchen again, my hands resting lightly on the countertop. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the wall clock, the slow, heavy rhythm of my own heartbeat. Michael hadn't woken yet. He slept deeply these days. Maybe guilt is exhausting, or maybe he simply had nothing left to feel. I didn't look at him while he slept. I didn't touch him. I didn't speak. I was waiting for the sound of a doorbell, for the voice I had heard on the phone the night before, for the person who said, I'll be there in the morning. To him, it would be unexpected, unavoidable, unpredictable. To me, it was necessary. At 7:12 a.m., the doorbell rang. Michael was in the bathroom. I could hear the shower running, water hitting tile, steady and loud, drowning out the world. Good. I walked to the front door, my steps slow, controlled, almost graceful. I opened it gently, as if I were welcoming something familiar, not something life-changing. Standing there was Daniel, my son, my baby, my grown man, my heart walking outside my body. He looked different than I remembered, the kind of difference life gives you when you've been learning things the hard way. His shoulders were broader, his jaw more defined, his eyes quieter and older. When he saw my face, really saw it, his expression didn't change with surprise. He already knew. He had known before I did. He pulled me into his arms and I pressed my forehead against his chest, breathing in the warm, familiar, safe scent of home, the scent of moments I thought were lost. No tears yet, just breath, just presence, just strength. Mom, he whispered, his voice steady, grounded, confident. I'm here now, I nodded. I didn't have to speak. He already knew what I needed. We sat at the kitchen table, just like we used to when he was a child struggling with homework or heartbreak. Nothing was rushed, nothing was dramatic. Silence was our language. Finally, Daniel spoke. Mom, how long? His voice didn't shake. It didn't judge, it didn't push. I admired him in that moment, not as my son, but as a man. I folded my hands in my lap. I found out yesterday, I said softly. Daniel exhaled slowly, his hand resting on mine. I suspected for months, he said. My eyes lifted. You knew? He nodded, guilt flickering through his eyes, something heavy and unspoken. I didn't want to believe it, he said. But I could tell. His tone changed. His priorities shifted, and whenever I asked about you, he avoided the topic. He swallowed hard. I should have told you. I'm sorry. I shook my head gently. No, you wanted to protect me, and I wasn't ready to see it yet. We understood each other. Time has a way of revealing truth exactly when you are strong enough to hold it. The shower stopped. Footsteps. The slow thump of his approach. Daniel and I didn't move. We didn't look at each other. We simply waited. Michael entered the kitchen with his usual half smile, the kind of smile husbands give when they haven't noticed they're already strangers. When he saw Daniel, the smile faltered. Hey, Michael said, forcing cheer. This is a surprise. Daniel didn't smile back. Morning, he replied, voice calm, steady, adult. Michael glanced at me. I didn't return the look. I simply sat still. Something in the room shifted. Tension isn't loud, it's silent. Michael tried to brush past it. Coffee? He asked, reaching for the cabinet. Daniel's voice stopped him mid-step. Dad, sit down. No anger, no threat. Just authority. Michael slowly turned. There was a flicker in his eyes that I recognized. Fear. What's going on? He asked. Daniel didn't answer. I didn't speak. Silence answered for us. Then quietly, carefully, I slid Michael's phone across the table. Face up. Unlocked. Those messages visible. Michael froze. Time froze. The clock kept ticking. The world did not. Michael didn't pick up the phone. He didn't deny it. He didn't look at me. He looked at Daniel as if it would be easier to break his heart than to face mine. "It's complicated," Michael whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened. "No," he said. "It's simple." I could feel Michael searching for words, any words, but truth has a way of stripping language down to nothing. He turned to me finally. "Lily." My name in his voice felt wrong, like a stranger trying to remember something he once owned. I didn't flinch, I didn't cry, I didn't ask why. "I know everything," I said quietly, and the silence that followed was louder than any scream could ever be. Michael sank into the chair slowly, like a man whose world had suddenly become heavy. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said. Daniel scoffed under his breath, but I lifted my hand slightly, a signal. "Let him speak," Michael continued. "It wasn't planned. It just happened. I didn't want to lose you, Lily. I never stopped caring about you." "Caring?" I repeated gently, not furious. "Just tired. Caring is not lying. Caring is not hiding your phone. Caring is not she has no idea." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "When love leaves," I said softly, "care is not enough." Michael's eyes filled with something like regret. But regret is not love. Regret is simply recognizing loss too late. Michael's voice broke as he whispered, "She's pregnant." The world stopped. The room fell soundless. Daniel went still. My breath caught somewhere between my ribs, not pain. Shock's cold sharpness instead. Pregnant. A new life built on betrayal. My chest tightened, but not from heartbreak. No, it was something else. A strange, surprising clarity, a knowing. I looked at Michael, not as my husband, but as a man who had already chosen another life. And in that moment, I understood something simple and final. Our marriage had ended long before I saw the messages. This was just the truth catching up. I stood up slowly, not to leave, not to collapse, but because I had something to say, something calm, steady, unshakable. "Michael," I said, my voice almost a whisper, "I hope you're prepared for what comes next." His eyes widened, not in anger, but in fear, because I wasn't enraged. I wasn't broken, I was done. And a woman who is done is more powerful than any storm. He opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, the front door opened. Someone else had arrived, someone who had been watching everything unfold quietly for years. Someone whose presence changed the entire room. I turned toward the doorway. Michael went pale. Daniel sat up straight, and I simply said, "Hello." The door slowly opened, and she stepped inside. Not the woman from the messages. Not the girl he had been sneaking around with. No, this was my sister, Anna. Her presence filled the room like thunder, cold, sharp, unforgiving. Her jaw was tight, her eyes locked on Michael with a fury that didn't need volume. She didn't greet him, she didn't look at Daniel. She walked straight to me and hugged me, her arms wrapped around me like a shield. I hadn't cried. Not when I saw the messages, not when he confessed, not when he said the other woman was pregnant. But in Anna's arms, my breath trembled. Not tears, strength rearranging itself. When she released me, she looked directly at Michael. "You told her?" she asked. Michael swallowed hard. "Yes." Her shoulders relaxed a fraction, but her eyes stayed fierce. "Good," she said, "because it's time." Michael shifted in his chair, discomfort etched across every line of him. "Anna," he said, voice strained, "let's not—" "No," she snapped. "We are doing this today." Daniel leaned forward, calm but deeply controlled. "What is she talking about?" Michael didn't answer. Of course he didn't, because this betrayal wasn't new, and Anna knew more than I did. She sat down across from Michael, her hands folded neatly, like this was a meeting she had waited years for. "Lily," she said softly, turning to me, "before you saw the messages last night, I already knew." The room tilted, just slightly, not shock, but confirmation. I nodded. "How long?" Anna's voice didn't waver. 2 years. 2 years. I didn't move. I didn't break. I simply breathed. Michael buried his face in his hands. "I didn't want to tell you like this," he whispered. I stared at him, and the strangest thing happened. I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity, the type that comes when truth stops hiding. My son stood up slowly. His hands were flat on the table. His voice low, controlled, terrifyingly calm. "You cheated on my mother for 2 years, he said. "And you thought you could just keep both lives?" Michael didn't respond. Daniel leaned closer. No yelling. No threats, just tell the truth. The room held still. Michael looked at me, not with love, not with regret, with fear, because he realized I wasn't devastated. I was done. I spoke first. "Michael," I said, my voice so soft it almost didn't feel like mine. "I need you to answer something." He lifted his head. "Did you ever love me?" Silence. A silence that told me the answer before he spoke. "I did," he said finally. "But somewhere along the way I forgot how to. Not cruel, not dramatic, just truth." I nodded once. "No tears, no shaking. Just acceptance." "I know," I said. "And that is why I'm letting you go." His breath broke, not because he didn't expect it, but because hearing it finalized it, before anyone could speak again. Anna placed a folder on the table. Thick, prepared, intentional. Michael froze. Daniel's eyes narrowed. I looked at Anna. "It's your divorce paperwork," she said quietly. I had them ready. My heart hit my ribs, not with pain, with relief. She wasn't just my sister. She was my witness, my defender, my strength when mine ran out. Michael's voice cracked. "You already decided." I met his eyes. I decided the moment I saw the messages. Not when he confessed. Not when I discovered the pregnancy. The moment I saw who he chose to be. Michael didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't promise to change. He just lowered his head, because he knew this wasn't a fight. It was the end, not loud, not explosive, just final. Daniel walked to me, placing his hand on my shoulder, solid, warm, grounding. Anna exhaled softly, and I felt something new. Not joy, not sadness, freedom. Real freedom. The kind that comes when a woman stops holding on to someone who let go long before. As Michael slowly stood, preparing to leave the home that was no longer his, the front door knocked again. 3 sharp, insistent knocks. Everyone froze. I already knew who it was. The woman. The one who was pregnant. The one who thought she won. The one who didn't know what was waiting for her on the other side of that door. I turned toward the entrance and whispered, "Let her in." The knocking echoed again. 3 steady, unapologetic taps. No hesitation, no shame. I walked slowly, my steps calm, steady, certain. Anna and Daniel remained behind me, not speaking, not interfering. They knew I needed to be the one to open it. I turned the knob and there she stood. Young soft curls falling around her shoulders, eyes bright and nervous, hands clasped over her belly. She must have been no older than 25. She looked at me with timid politeness, as though we were strangers in a grocery aisle. "Hello," she said softly. I need to speak to Michael." Her voice was gentle, unsure. She didn't know. She really didn't know. I stepped aside. She walked inside, slow, cautious, like she sensed the air was heavy. Michael looked up when she entered. The pain in his face was immediate, raw, exposed. Her eyes filled with emotion when she saw him. "Michael," she whispered. "Are you okay?" Her hand moved to reach for him. He didn't move. He didn't lift his head. He didn't look at her, not once. Because for the first time in a very long time, he was ashamed. She turned to me, still polite, still gentle. "I just want you to know," she said, voice trembling slightly. "I didn't mean to take him from you. I didn't know he was married at first," her voice cracked. "And when I did, I thought he was leaving soon." Her eyes shifted to him just once, but he didn't. For a brief second, pain flashed across her face, not selfish pain, but heartbreak. She looked so young, so new to life, so unaware of how heavy love can become when it's built on broken vows. I nodded. "I believe you," I said quietly. Her shoulders sagged with relief, not because she wanted forgiveness, but because she wanted to be seen as human. Then I asked softly, "Does he love you?" Michael lifted his head sharply. She froze, her eyes reddened. She opened her mouth to speak, and then stopped. The silence was the answer. I didn't feel anger toward her. I didn't feel competition, because love isn't a trophy, marriage isn't a race, and betrayal leaves no winners, only wounds. She wiped her tears and looked down. "I just wanted a family," she whispered. "I thought maybe he would choose me." Her voice was so quiet it nearly broke. I let the words settle. Not as an attack, just as truth. Michael swallowed hard. "Emily," he began, voice unsteady. She stopped him with a small, trembling lift of her hand. "No, Michael, I see it now." And there it was. "You didn't choose me," she whispered. "You didn't choose her, you just didn't choose at all." Her hand fell against her stomach. I can't build a life with someone who doesn't know how to love fully. For the first time, her strength showed. Not loud, not demanding, just firm. I walked closer to her, not as a wife fighting for a husband, but as a woman who has survived enough to understand that love is often a lesson, not a lifetime. Your child, I said softly, will need peace. Not chaos, not confusion. She nodded, tears falling again, and I hugged her. Not because she needed forgiveness, but because she needed release. She sobbed quietly into my shoulder. A young woman learning life the hard way. Michael watched, and for the first time his tears fell. Not because he lost love, but because he saw the damage he caused. When she stepped back, she wiped her face and said, "I will raise my baby with dignity. Not secrecy, not shame." She turned to Michael and whispered, "Goodbye." She left without asking him to follow, because part of healing is knowing when to walk away first. The door closed gently behind her. Silence again. Not tense, not angry, just final. Michael looked at me, broken, regretful, empty. He spoke quietly. "You were the best thing in my life." I nodded once. "I know," I said. "And that is why we are ending this now. No cruelty, no bitterness. Just truth." He packed his bag slowly. Daniel didn't interfere. Anna didn't move. When he reached the door, he paused. "Thank you for everything you gave me," he whispered. I didn't answer. He stepped outside, and the door closed. Not slammed, just closed, like a book ending on its last page. That night, my house was quiet, but not lonely. Peace has a sound. Soft, still, full. Daniel sat beside me on the couch. He didn't speak, he didn't need to. His presence was enough. Anna brewed tea, the soft scent comforting and warm. For the first time in a long time, I felt safe. I felt like me again. Not a wife trying to hold everything together. Not a woman trying to understand someone else's mistakes. Just Lily Strong, gentle, alive. I looked at my home, my life, my heart, and I whispered to myself, I am free. Months later, Emily welcomed a healthy baby boy. She named him Samuel. We stayed in touch, not because of the past, but because healing has room for kindness. I rebuilt my life slowly, found joy in small things, laughter in quiet mornings, strength in silence. And one day, I smiled in the mirror. Not because I had moved on to someone else, but because I had finally moved back into myself.